So I come off the set, feel like to make a deal because, of course, I gotta do the shows 3 times a week because someone doesn't want to work. And there's all these guys in suits, with the earpieces. And I come down the stairs, hit the bottom, and they're like, "Well, you need to take a Zoom call with the Queen." I'm like, "I'm tired. I just did a show. I want to go home." They all start putting out guns and tasers. They're like, "You're gonna do the Zoom call now." So I'm like, okay, I didn't think Queen Latifah had this much power. So I go into the conference room, it's just me, and I'm expecting to see Queen Latifah. They turn on the Zoom, and it's this old white lady, and I'm like shocked, and she's like, "Is there a problem?" And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I go, "Well, I was expecting to see the Queen." She's like, "I am the Queen. I'm the Queen of England. Don't you recognize me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, it was you. They told me it was going to be Queen Latifah." She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for the mix up." So I'm like, "Well, why do you need to see me?" She's like, "Well, this kind of involves you. I'm really excited to see you, by the way. I'm a big fan. I've been following your career for years." And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you a fan of Wayne Brady or Wavel?" She's like, "Wayne Brady? Who the hell is Wavel?" Wait a minute, I know that name. But anyways, so I'm excited to see you, but some things have come up and I need to talk to you about it. I'm like, "Okay, well, what came up?" She's like, "You know how, well, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, like, pretty much threw them out of the castle." I'm like, "Yeah, I heard about it, but I understand what that happens to do with me." She's like, "Well, you kind of got brought into this because, I'm a big fan of yours. And so when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle started dating, to get on my good side, they both said that Meghan Markle was your sister." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, I had nothing to do with that." She's like, "I know that now. That's why you kind of got pulled into this." So I go, "Well, when did you figure out that it wasn't her sister?" She's like, "Well, you didn't come to any events." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I wasn't invited." See, that's the thing. I was sending out invitations to you, and you never came. So I'm like, "Well, what was the final straw, I guess?" She's like, "Well, the wedding reception. You didn't come to that." So like, well, what would that have to do with anything? She's like, "Well, the wedding reception was free food and liquor. People coming for that." I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point. People don't refuse free food and liquor." So she's like, "Well, that's when I decided to get a DNA test." So, they were here. So I took Megan a hair from Meghan Markle's brush. I'm like, "Well, how'd you get my DNA or Wayne Brady's DNA?" Okay. "Oh, I got it from that guy, Maury Povich. He had my DNA. I guess you had a DNA test with him." "Oh yeah, yeah. He messed up the results. I guess the ones you got were better than the ones I got." She's like, "Yeah, that's when I knew it." And I brought them both in there, and then I had Maury sitting there. This is the Queen, and they were looking at me, and then they looked at Maury, and I looked at Maury and I said, "Go ahead." And Maury said, "I got the DNA results. Wayne Brady's not your brother." And then that's when I had Maury step out, and I told him, "You need to get Wayne Brady. I need to talk to Wayne Brady, and if I don't talk to Wayne Brady, I'm deporting you. You gonna kick him out of the country?" "No, no, no. I wasn't kicking him out of the country. I was kicking him off the planet." "You were kicking him off Earth?" "Oh yeah, they were either gonna have to live on Mars or the Moon, but they were not living on Earth." So that's why they moved to LA. They were trying to find you, track you down. Finally, they were able to track you down. Sorry about all the security presence. Oh. So what does it have to do with me now that I know all this? Nothing. I just wanted to let you know. I didn't want to get it out that they were racist or anything. It had nothing to do with race. It had them two scheming and plotting to take advantage of my good side because I'm such a Wayne Brady fan. I'm like, okay, so I was about to get up to leave, and I'm like, well, does Wavel have anything to do with this? She's like, Wavel. She starts going through her notes. Oh, I was like, oh, what? She's like, do you know Wavel? I'm like, of course, I'm like, oh yeah, I know him well. Have you seen him? You know what he looks like? Well, most people say he looks like me, but I don't think so myself. So Wavel looks like Wayne Brady? That's what most people say. I was like, she was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so personally, but it happens all the time. So you have a message for Wavel? She was like, yeah. Him and Meghan Markle are cousins according to the DNA results. No. It's like, yeah, I got the results right here. I got them from Maury Povich. He does good work. So what does that mean for Wavel? Well, it makes him a royal now. He's part of the royal family because she married into it, even though she ran a con. And I need to speak to him. You think you can get a message to me? I'm like, oh yeah, I can get a message to him. Well, you know, with the whole Prince Andrew thing, we're pretty much gonna take his title. He's not gonna be a prince anymore. We're just gonna get rid of him, take away his princehood, if you'd say. And we need a replacement. Are you saying that Wavel's gonna be a prince now? It's like, yeah, we need some new blood. We're looking for the diversity. So, yeah, Prince Wavel. If you could tell him I need him to come here for training and orientation. I was like, training and orientation to be a prince? She's like, yeah, there's a lot of rules and protocols to be a prince. Princing ain't easy. I was like, wait a minute, what did you just say? Princing ain't easy. I was like, okay. Well, and then I gave her my email address or Wavel's email address or whoever you think I am. I gave him Wavel's email address. She took it down, and then she sent me a link, and sent me a link. So I got all the things. So I fly out next week. But she was like, well, thank you for understanding on the Meghan Markle thing, and make sure Wavel gets that message because Prince Andrew's days are numbered, and we want to have a replacement right away. I was like, he'll have it right when I leave. She's like, okay, thank you, bye, and hung up on the Zoom, and then all of a sudden, the Zoom thing, instead of saying your Zoom call has ended, it said Princeton ain't easy. I was like, oh my god, this woman's crazy. So that's how I became a prince. So now I will be referred to as Prince Wavel. And remember, one thing about life, Princeton ain't easy.